Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our webinar today. My name is Praveen, and I will be your host and presenter for today's session. So, today, the presentation we got for you is Fortify remote access in your enterprise IT with the PAM360’s new cutting edge features. So, remote work has become the new normal. IT leaders are working on securing the network and diversifying the attacker surface than ever before. Cyber risks are increasing, especially when workers are temporary or new to working from home. VPN and multi-factor authentication help you to protect application and systems on your corporate network, but they don't cover all the privileged account scenarios. Remote workers also use privileged credentials to access applications such as infrastructure as service and software as service, and they need additional security controls in order for them to be accessed. Let's see how PAM ensures people can access systems and the data they need with while adhering to the security best practices. So, remote workers are likely to download new or unknown software and access application to stay productive. If users have local admin rights and unintentionally downloads malicious software, they invite cyber criminals into your entire network. So you can use role-based access control to configure baseline and default access for each remote worker on internal or external resources. You can determine what action they can take, such as which button can be clicked, which text can be read, which form can be filled, and much more. Keeping this in mind, we have done a lot of enhancements to the remote access of features and functionalities in PAM360, and I will show them one by one. We already know PAM360 has five predefined roles. In addition to it, we have introduced a new role exclusive for remote access named connection user. So, connection users have the same privileges as password users. In addition, they can take a remote connection, perform file transfer, and access remote tabs when a resources associated with the certain remote tabs that is being shared by the administrators to them. Now, we will see the feature one by one in detail. So, a remote app for Windows system. So, the first one is working with the remote app for Windows. Windows administrators can gain a better control over privileged session by enforcing users to connect to only specific Windows application configured as remote apps in the target systems. Remote apps restricts user access to selected application in the remote system instead of all application and protocols. It limits a user ability to move laterally within the network by reducing the potential harmful activities in the network. Now, I'm going to quickly take you to the product and show how this remote app is going to work. So here, this is the PAM360 interface in which we have introduced this remote app. So you have to navigate to the admin tab, and under connections, you will see this remote app functionality where you can click on discover and you can select the machine on which the remote apps are being configured. So once you select the account, you can start clicking on fetch. It will automatically discover all the remote apps available and it will show you over here. You can select all of them and add an associated. Once the remote app is being associated, now, as I told you earlier, we have a dedicated role for remote app users. So let's assume you are going to share this machine with a particular user only with remote access privileges. So you can start when you're sharing this, you will have an option I'm just going to revoke it and I'm going to grant it. And here you will see remote app only as a share. So once I click on remote app only, I can start selecting which application I want to provide. So now I'm going to just give paint as an access and I'm clicking on save. So once the remote app only share is being provided, the next step is I'm going to log in here as that user, right? And once the user comes in here, you will be able to see if he goes to the connection tab and if he clicks on that particular machine, he will be able to see that particular remote app which is being shared with him. Now, when I click on remote app, the user will be there will be a session launched to the target machine, and in that target machine, it will be just launching that app which has been configured by the user. You will not be able to open any other application apart from the remote app. Let me just show you that functionality again. So if I click on paint, it will automatically launch an remote connection to that particular machine, and it will just launch the paint application. Here you will not be able to click on even the start button. So remote app is basically you can configure apps which can be launched on the target machine, and users will be able to only use that particular app, and they cannot use any other apps apart from this, right? That is the first one. And let's look at the other functionality. The next functionality which is introduced is landing servers for data centers, right? Typically, data center limits direct access to remote devices via SSH, Telnet, and RDP connections. Hence, data center admins work remotely, first connect to the landing server and then hop to the target system. Admins can decide on whether to take a single hop or multiple hops before connecting to the target devices. At each step of the remote access process, from initial landing server to each subsequent hop and the target device, the admin must provide a username and password, as well as the known IP address of the landing server. So now PAM360 has simplified this entire data center remote access management, where using PAM360 you can effectively launch direct connections, telnet, SSH, and RDP to access IT equipments in the remote data center, which will help you in overcoming access barriers created by the network segment and by also adhering to the data center access protocols. Apart from remote access, PAM360 also supports full password management for those remote devices. Earlier, we supported SSH and Telnet protocol for landing servers. Now we also started supporting for Windows. So you can make use of SSH RDP to be the landing server and again SSH RDP to the target machines. So this way the cross domain can be used in landing servers. Since we have seen about the SSH landing servers in our previous presentation, today I'm going to focus on the Windows landing server. And it works also, this Windows landing server works with the existing SSH functionality as well. All right. So what I'm trying to refer here is you can have the first hop as a SSH and the target machine as a Windows, or you can have the first hop as a Windows and the target machine as SSH. So the cross functionality is very well supported. Now, again, let's get into the product and see how this one works. When I navigate to the admin tab, I will see landing servers. So I have to create a landing server here, which has been already done. So the first landing server here is PMP2K16, which has the administrator account, and that which is nothing but the hob, and I have associated another machine which says PMP new, which is going to be the target machine to which it's going to connect. So the intermediate hob is going to be PMP to K16, and the target machine is going to be the PMP new. So when I go to resources, I see PMP new here, and when I click on open connection and Windows Remote Desktop, first an RDP session will be launched to PMP 2016, and from there, another RDP session will be launched to the target machine, which is going to be PMP test. So it is just taking few minutes because of the network latency, as we are all working from home. So let's see how it exactly opens up the window. So it's taking more time than expected, but I want to show the functionality of the landing server. That's the reason we are waiting. Okay, yeah. So now it has started the connection to the target. Yeah. So now we have connected to the target machine, which is uh, the PMP new. All right. So that's how the login works here. Great. The next one is going to be, let me move back to the presentation here. So the next functionality is bidirectional remote file transfer capabilities. So PAM360 now lets you transfer files between two folders residing in two different remote systems right from the web interface. Right. So this makes use of the simple SFTP protocol. So in other words, in the machines in which you are trying to do the file transfer, you need to have the SFTP client installed. A simple one would be a WinSCP. So only if you have the SFTP client installed on the target machines, we will be able to connect to that machines from PAM360 and make use of it. So here, if you go to connections, you will see a secure file transfer, and you can just select the machines here. So first I'm going to select this one, and the account is going to be test, and I'm going to connect to it. Now I'm going to select another machine, which is going to be SFTP secondary, and I'm going to select a different account, click connect, and once this machine gets connected, I can start moving the files from this machine to this one. So I'm let me just select something from the 10, and I'm going to select this, and I'm going to move it across. So yeah, you can see it's taking a copy from here and it's moving it. And the same way, I can also take a file from here and I can move to this destination. This way, you will be able to transfer files between different systems using the PAM360 interface. The only requirement for this simple file transfer to work is you need to have a SFTP program installed on these machines in order for this to work. Yeah, so that's the another functionality for remote access, and advanced configuration settings for remote sessions. So PAM360 now offers advanced configuration settings for remote connections added to the product, which are customizable for SSH, RDP, and VNC connection, therefore improving the overall user experience while initiating the connections from PAM360 console. Some of the advanced settings include changing the SSH terminal type, modifying the desktop composition for RTP connections, changing the encoding type of the VNC connections, etc. Let's once again get into the product to see how where is this and how it works. So when I go to resources for any Windows machine, which is available here, if I click on account actions, I will going to see connection settings. So here for a Windows machine, If it is going to be RDP, I can change the keyboard layout, and whether I need to create a console session, I can change the display and the local. Basically, these are the functions which you get as a option in the RDP connections. So we have also provided the same inside the PAM360 console, and no, this is for a RDP connection, and same way for VNC you can give the encoding and other stuff. And for the SSH one, you will be able to select the terminal type. So you can give whatever terminal type you need, and this can be configured from here. All right, so this is for one particular account in a machine. If you want this setting to be done in bulk, you can go to resource groups, and next to every resource groups you will see the connection settings option. So you can click on the connection settings and you can change all these settings in bulk at the resource group level. So this is another functionality which we have introduced in PAM360 latest version. And the next option is going to be the customizing gateway settings. So users can edit and control the cipher suites which are being used for the SSL communication, set up a different port, choose SSL protocols to be used for securing remote connections initiated from the product, and they can also customize the HTTP header login settings, etc. So earlier, these has to be changed in one of the configuration files present inside the installation directory. But now what we have done is we have provided that in a interface where you can click on the gateway settings, and you will be able to change the port protocol cipher suits from here. Once these settings have been updated, you have to just restart the Password Manager Pro, the PAM360, in order for the settings to take effect. Right. So that's another functionality which has been introduced in the latest version. And the next one is going to be the new HTML5-based SSH terminal. All right. So in the latest version, you can make use of the new lag-free SSH terminal that uses the WebSocket API, which will be more faster and more responsive. So in before we had lot of complaints that the HTML SSH sessions which are getting launched from the PAM360 interface are pretty slow. Okay, so we have completely changed it to a WebSocket based API session. Okay, so I will show you the difference now. So this is the latest SSH session which is getting launched, or the new terminal type, which will be more lag free and similar to PuTTY. And here you can see the legacy one. The legacy one is the old one. Okay, so the old one, you have to use the options here to scroll down and up, and you it will not be that friendly. So this one is going to look similar to a PuTTY session, and it will work the same way. So this is the difference between the new SSH terminal which is introduced in the latest version. However, we still have the old one also in place. In order, if you want to make use of the old one, you have to click on the legacy SSH, or you can simply click on this SSH functionality to make use of the latest one. All right, so that is another functionality. Now coming back, let's see what are the other things. So new certificate format for web server platforms. That is PEM, PEM has been added in addition to the already available certificate export formats, Keystore, PFX, where PEM format is used for digital certificates and keys deployed in web server platforms. Let me get into the product and show you that. So here, um, if I go to certificates, Earlier, when you were exporting the certificates, you only add JKS, PKS, and private key. So now we have introduced this PEM format. So you can also export the certificates in PEM format from the PAM360 interface, and that can be used in deploying in web server platforms like Apache, which supports PEM format. All right, so that's another functionality which has been added. And the last one is going to be Azure MS SQL backend. Okay, earlier, as you guys all know, we had Postgres as a default database bundled with the product, and then we also supported MS SQL as backend database, which is going to be on-prem one. However, in the latest version, we have also started supporting Azure MS SQL as backend, and this comes as a so when you execute our change DB, the batch file which is present inside the PAM360 installation, it will just ask you for the backend option, whether it's going to be Azure or on-prem SQL. So you can select that and you will be able to do it in a very friendly manner. This way, you can have your backend database configured as Azure SQL as well. Okay, so that is another latest addition which has been introduced. Now, that's almost all the features available in the new version of the PAM360. Uh, let's quickly see what it is. Okay, so apart from the cutting edge features, PAM privileged access management PAM360 offers a robust feature from three other ManageEngine products. That is the PAM suite of products. The first one is going to be the password manager, which is for privileged password management. And the next one is going to be for on the key manager, which is going to be for managing the SSH keys, SSL, and TLS certificates on the network. And Password Manager Pro also allow you to manage passwords automatically along with the privileged accounts. And now Access Manager Plus, which is for managing the access and which comes with a session management capability as well. And apart from that, all the products have a very fine grained auditing and reporting. So these are the 3 point products we have in Manage Engine, and each have their own functionality. Apart from this, PAM 360 is going to be a unified one, which has all these three functionalities along with a lot of third-party integrations and APIs supported. One example would be the DevOps integration, what we have provided, right? So the PAM 360 is going to be a unified solution with all the capabilities from the point products along with lot of internal and external integrations available out of the box. Okay, so this brings me to the final mandatory slide, the question side. So if you have any questions, feel free to raise them in the chat panel and I will be glad to answer them for you. All right, I don't see any questions. So I hope the entire session was useful for everyone and gave you some insights on the cutting edge features in PAM 360 that helps you in managing the remote access. And if you have any questions, please send it to pam360-support at manageengine.com. Once again, thank you for joining today's session. Have a great day. Thank you. Bye.